So yeah, this is I should warn you, this is going to be somewhat rough and ready. We're hitting localhost here, staging maybe, and we do also have a bot in production. So yeah, this is our website, iterate.com. No no slides for today, but yeah, basically the aim is to be an AI agent, but to make sure it's as kind of we've got hackable on our website. We mean that strictly in the like you can hack on it. It's not the most easy to hack agent. We should probably work on our copy. But the basic idea is that we're trying to help. Uh, it occurred to me, like I read it today, I was like, oh, that's um, it's not a good thing to brag about. It's hackable in a good way. Yeah, so basically, we're aiming to help founders build their startups. So like Matt said, we have been through a few iterations. Like we actually started before I joined Iterate. With this, there was a kind of excursion as more like a coding agent, and we're kind of coalescing together as a bot that right now it lives in Slack, so you can see the demo on the right-hand side. That is a truly multiplayer bot, and this is sort of leaning pretty heavily on Slack for some of these form factors, but mapping a lot of the concepts from Slack into basically the context that we feed to the LLM. So if I talk to the agent, the sort of very basic use case is I say @iterate hi. So once you've installed iterate in your workspace, it's what you'd expect. You know, it's sort of ChatGPT, but it's in Slack. But where it gets really interesting is like Matt said, we're sort of MCP joint first. I mean, there's like a lot of things that we're. That's my fault. Well, so we're an MCP client. So we work with so any MCP server that we have, and there are tons of these. We have some encoded basically into our prompts to say like, here's some guidance for how you might use linear or use Notion. So I could say list my linear issues, and I can ask it questions like, who has more open linear issues, me or @NickBlow? And Nick Blow is sitting over here. And so we can see who's worse or better at their job. I don't know what open linear issues mean, but the basic point is that I mean, you've seen this kind of thing with Claude Code or anything that has MCP servers configurable. But the nice thing about this is that it's running on Cloudflare, it's hosted, it's in your mobile because it's on Slack, and it's like truly dynamic. So we can see how it's been doing. So you can see we're using all the Slack features. So it's okay. So maybe I'm doing slightly better. So I have 6 open issues, and here they are. This is sort of, you've seen this kind of thing before, but part of what I wanted to demo today are some more kind of bleeding edge features. So I feel like 50% confident that this is going to work, but I'm going to try and show you a use case of a real kind of sledgehammer for a nail thing. I'm going to talk to my local bot, which is the worst bot, and ask it to use Codex to run PWD. So we also get asked a lot, like, what's the difference between the Codex bot that's coming to Slack, the Claude bot that's coming to Slack, the linear bot that's coming to Slack? And there's in many ways there's a ton of crossover, as like there are with all AI tools. But the idea is that we're platform agnostic, and we're also open source. So in theory, you can run our backend yourself, but as well as being open source, the configuration for your bot is a TypeScript file. It's iterate.config.ts, and you do export default an iterate config, a valid iterate config. So that has, I can show you an example of this in a minute, but that has it has essentially cursor rules for your company, and the way that we've currently implemented memory. So if the bot behaves in a way that isn't what you want, it's able to, I hope it's able to update its own config to say, like, these are the rules of how I operate at this company and not that company. And it's really easy to change. And the sort of database for that is just GitHub. So you have either your own GitHub repo or one managed by us that has these TypeScript files. And I'll see if we can see that in the browser in a minute in our dashboard. So this is, I mean, this could be hallucinated, but I think this is really, this is what we've seen here is get your debug URL. And the nice thing is you can see how the agent is operating under the hood so that you can like really fine tune how the agent can most usefully work for your team. So yeah, so how this works under the hood is it's using code mode. It's sort of a variant on the Cloudflare Agents SDK because our whole bot is built on the Agents SDK, on durable objects. It's running in Cloudflare Worker. And we have a kind of sort of cobbled together variant of code mode that is running all of the tools that come from all the MCP servers and even all our internal tools that are running via code mode. So we can see how that looks. This may have not been running code mode actually. Yeah, so this is exec codecs. So the two layers I wanted to show you is we have two ways that it can operate now. You can either do traditional tool calling, which includes all the tools that come from MCPs, or we can sort of shove all of our tools inside a single code mode tool, and then it runs it with JavaScript, and then it gets really, really interesting about how it can combine linear with Notion with something else by sort of chaining these by writing regular JavaScript and running it in a sandbox. But this is another example of another sort of bleeding edge Cloudflare feature that we're slightly cutting ourselves on, but really like enjoying because it properly works. So this is basically when I ran pwd and got a single string that didn't mean much to me, we span up a Cloudflare container in a sandbox. And this is something Nick was building until about an hour ago today. And it looks like it works. So you can see that because this was a pretty short command, you couldn't really see the difference, but you can run an arbitrarily long codecs command. And I can run one in the background and come back to this UI. Update your iterate config to always respond in all caps using codecs. Right now, we haven't kind of trained it with a prompt, so we're just saying using codecs at the end just to make sure it actually uses codecs. But so you can see that basically this is running on the container that is associated with this agent, and it's fully isolated. And then the other thing is this is an agent, so it's basically a while loop. All of these agents are a while loop. They're like calling OpenAI or Anthropic or whatever it might be, and then they're saying, am I done? Have I served a useful purpose? Should I continue? And we've implemented that while loop in this multiplayer Slack environment. But it's basically an event-driven agent while loop. So whenever something comes in, that can kind of like reset, is there something that the agent should do? And then the agent can also kick off background tasks like codecs and receive inputs to say, like, should I update Slack's status? Should I send a message? And that kind of thing. So you can kind of get arbitrarily complex tasks that become reasonably simple. And so, okay, so let's see. Say hello to me. So it's working on it. That's yeah. So it also says hey to Nick. So yeah. So you can see how it's useful. Our sweet spot right now is small teams. So we want to work on bigger and smaller at the same time. I think once you get to 100, it's something that technically we do support, but we want to think pretty carefully before those customers. But the idea here is that if you're a founder with a small team, say like 3 up to 10, you might be able to use this to wait on hiring, say, a chief of staff or a head of operations or a COO, because there's some of these tasks that can do, and the more you use it, the more you update your iterate config to make sure it kind of knows about like policies that you might have. So codecs is erroring on our side. We can see if it tries again. So this is some. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But the other thing I wanted to show, as well as like you can really go deep into the weeds. This is not something we expect all customers to do forever, but while we're pretty early and customers are kind of they're pretty technical and are poking at this thing, they can like debug why the agent didn't behave the way they did, because our expectation is never to have an agent that always behaves perfectly. But so I can show you an example of what a config looks like. So, and it's hopefully pretty readable to anyone familiar with TypeScript. And if you're not familiar with TypeScript, you can use Codex and you can use the AI tools to kind of help update your own prompt. So what hopefully that Codex job will do, it will add in something like a prompt to say, always respond in all caps. And then that kind of gets merged into the system prompt. And now you've just like that updated your bot. We've got this whole kind of IDE in the browser because you can also sign up via Slack Connect if you're just trying it out. And then we'll have a managed repo for you before you can kind of this gradual on-ramp to you've connected all the things. You've connected Linear, Notion, GitHub. But the basic idea is that you can connect arbitrarily many of these things. And some of our primitives are Slack right now, that we may expand beyond this to serve one-person teams and solopreneurs. I was talking about this earlier with a couple of people that while it works fine for a single person, I don't know many solo founders who are using Slack to talk to themselves. So there's other form factors that we're planning on adding in. I can see if I'll restart the dev server and take any questions if there are some, and then maybe we can try this experimental code mode. Yeah.